I used to hate high school. I hated everything about it. I hated the drama. I hated the cliques. I hated the way assignments were done. I just couldn't stand being in high school. So what solution did I find was graduating early and getting out of there as soon as possible. Whether you're actually thinking about becoming an early graduate from high school or you were just interested in my story, I'm Lana. I graduated when I was 16. Nowadays, I live in Spain. I'm an international student here, and I thought I would come back after I made this video while I was still a high school student. It went super well and it still gets lots and lots of views. So I thought I would make a little update video on you guys to tell you 4 years later, what am I up to? What are my biggest takeaways? And to help anybody who is thinking about graduating early. Don't forget to subscribe because I make a lot of videos on my school life, on study abroad, traveling. So if you're interested in all that, you gotta make sure to check out down below. So let's start talking about it. The first thing I want to cover is a bit about my experience graduating early. How did it work? Was pretty simple but super overwhelming. I would take 2 online classes on top of my 4 classes per day, and I had Saturday classes. So I was at school for 6 days a week. I only had Sunday to rest. Another thing was that I was always taking classes with students that were a year ahead of me, so that was always another factor that I had to take into consideration, that I left the people that I had gone to school with for literally years of my life to start being with the age group a year or 2 years older than me, just so I can make graduating early happen. After I graduated, I decided to take a gap year, and this wasn't like a full decision on my behalf, but my school also didn't help me through like the university process, claiming I was too young, so I had to wait a year, and that was okay with me because in my gap year, I pretty much just worked at home, which gave me a lot of financial confidence to then move to Spain by myself and to be able to host myself here without an issue. I think there are a lot of different aspects of how my years as an early graduate changed my life, and there are 2 main points I want to make here. First, I think it made me super ambitious, and it's because your brain is wired to look for confirmation of your own self-concept and your own self-beliefs. So my brain was searching for confirmation that I can do hard things, and I was really able to prove that to myself by how much I challenged myself during the 3 years that I was graduating early. It's still, to this day, one of my proudest achievements, for sure. I think one thing about graduating early too that helped a lot was that I was able to make myself be more realistic, and that was because maybe more attributed to a gap year than it is to my graduating early, because that separation of time between university and high school made me realize that my self-worth is not my grades, and I had focused so much and so hard on my grades and getting classes done. In the real world, in a real job, they're not going to score you an 8 out of 10 this week. Good job, Lana, with a golden star. You kind of just have to pick up a lot more social cues. You have to understand what are your responsibilities, and sometimes school fails to really teach you how to enter the working industry. So it allowed me a lot of time to just become more realistic with myself. Who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? And it allowed me a lot of time to reflect. So I do think I became, yes, ambitious, but also realistic. The next thing is that there are some things I wish I knew, and it is very clear to me now what I wish I knew. If you are thinking about graduating early, let me give you like these red flags about things that are going to happen. First is you're going to feel like you don't fit in. If you are trying to graduate early because you feel like you don't fit in, moving on to higher classes is not going to make you feel like you fit in more. And you have to have that like dedication to be like, I don't care about anything else. I don't care about making friends. I'm not here to make friends. Put your head down and study. That's because once I separated myself from the group of students that I had been studying with for like years of my life, and I started working with older students, you drift away from the people that are your age and the students who are your age, and the people who are older than you and you're taking these new classes with not always will accept you. You have to consider as well that these people have been taking classes together for years, and sometimes it had made me so uncomfortable to the point where when my graduation came around, I did not attend my own prom. I am nowhere to be found in any of the yearbooks of my last year. They had like a special signing for all of the graduate students, and you can't find me in there. I actively chose not to put my pictures and to not attend a lot of the graduation events because I understood that these were not the people that I would feel super satisfied graduating with, because I didn't grow up with these people. I didn't have that sense of friendship and belonging that the students of my age who stuck together did. The second thing that I missed out on was a lot of extracurriculars. Just because I was so focused on trying to balance all of the classes and still trying to balance time to rest and to study and everything like that, I ended up not participating in any extracurriculars really whatsoever. And the unfortunate part is it probably would have been nice for me to join a sports team or to be part of the theater club or any other arts club, just to do something, student government, but I didn't have the time. So you have to be realistic with your expectations on yourself and realize that you won't be able to do it all. Are you going to focus on taking extra classes, or are you going to focus on ensuring that you are having the most advanced CV with extracurriculars? Just because you won't have that advanced CV with extracurriculars, let me tell you though that you will still have a lot of doors open for you during the time because of the fact that you are getting recognized for the academic achievements. That's what happened to me with a lot of different universities I applied to. I got accepted to a lot of them because I showed a lot of resilience and proved to myself that I could do difficult and challenging things. Let me move on from what I wish I knew to what advice I have for anyone who is looking to graduate early. There are two main things that got me through it, and these are necessities if you're going to graduate early. The first thing is you have to have unwavering motivation. You can think about quitting, but there is no way that you can dedicate 3 years of your life to pretty much just classes and grinding so hard for you to kind of give up halfway. 3 years is a long time to dedicate yourself to something, and for me, I did have moments where I thought about giving up, but because I had such strong motivation and I knew that I would flourish in an environment outside of high school, that I would grow so much more outside, I was so dedicated to getting all of it done that you have to find that unwavering motivation that you have to turn to every single time you think about giving up. It's going to get difficult, but to turn to that motivation, like that prompt, that sentence that tells you, I have to get it done, you'll be able to graduate early in no time. The second part is you want to be really clear with what happens after high school, because what happens is that yes, this is challenging, yes, it's a big goal, and I'm proud of any of you who do it, I'm proud of myself for doing it, but you have to understand that once you finish one big goal, there is a huge chance you're going to get stuck in kind of like a dip of life because you're like, what am I doing now? What goes on? What is my next goal? So don't set yourself up for failure by just focusing so much on high school. You have to have a good vision of what are you working towards, because usually graduating early is not going to be your end goal. Maybe it's to get into a really good university. Maybe it's to study abroad like I am. Or maybe it's to work in your dream industry. You have to have a clear vision of what's going to happen after, so that when the moment comes that you graduate, you don't immediately seep in and wallow because you don't have other goals. Graduating early is a challenge because it's kind of all engulfing. It's such a big goal that your life will feel consumed by it at some points. So not only do you want the motivation to keep you going, but you also want a clear goal after that you know as soon as you finish this step, it's time to move on and you're going to start working on the next thing. Success can always be defined in so many different ways, and you're going to have moments throughout the years that you're trying to graduate early, or throughout the years you're trying to accomplish any big goals, where you feel down. Sometimes you'll feel up. Sometimes the roller coaster is crazy sometimes, but the most successful part and the part that is most enjoyable is just the journey within itself. So try to live in the moment as much as possible, whether you are graduating early or just a current student. Let me remind you to just live in the moment and just to enjoy as much as possible. I hope you were able to take away something from this video, whether, like I said at the beginning, you were just interested or maybe you're looking to study abroad. But allow me to remind you that I am always here, so you can leave a comment and I will answer any of your questions. I loved on the last video make sure to check it out if you haven't. I mean, I shouldn't be encouraging people to watch my 16-year-old self, but same way I did in that video, I'm going to answer any of your questions down below in the comments. And if you need some encouragement, I am here as well. I'd love to encourage you guys all on. You guys are my bunnies, and I'm so grateful for everybody who watches my stuff. So let me remind you to comment, to subscribe, so that if you miss out on any study content, maybe anything that'll make your life easier as a student, I've got you hooked here. And with that, I'll leave you be, bunnies. Goodbye.